What's up, everyone? Today we have a S-Series Exmark. It's a 36-inch mower. They come in 36 and 48, I believe. This one is definitely difficult. So here's the problem. I'm not going to show it because it's really hard to pull this engine over, and I only want to do it a few times. But imagine this. To work this, you have to use those handles, and this bar over here controls the speed. And when you, this is a safety, by the way, when you either pull, it should go. So more or less it, well, technically that's neutral, if I believe, should be according to the sticker. And then when you're able to go forward, you can go forward, and so on and so forth. I believe that is just already forward, whatever speed the center knob is set in. That's how most of them work, but I have yet to try this. The owner tried it for me, but basically without those little safeties engaged, and at any point in time you move this lever, it stops, kills it. It doesn't even make a noise, it just dies. So that tells me a safety. So under here there is a variety of safety switches. This is the one I think we're having our problem with. Now, it could be the switch, it could be the wire, it could be the it could be grounding somewhere. We don't know. Don't really know. But I've run across this many of times. You can get your multimeter out, test the switch all you want, and it's still okay. It still will test fine. You still have the exact same problem. I'm going to take a couple of bolts out. We're going to remove this front panel, and we're going to take a look at something. Here's the front panel, and before we figure out what it is, moving this when it's not running is really hard because of these pumps right here. Usually there's a way to put them in neutral or at least free. This one has a little diagram right there. Next to that hose, you just loosen it on both sides and you should be able to move it. That's at least how I do it. I don't really want to have to pull against all the hydraulic pressure and potentially run the risk of damaging. Anyway, continuing on. So here are the handles. But you notice something? This is broken. That happens a lot. A lot. I don't really know why. There's a spring on the bottom of it, so we're going to take the spring off. And if I remember correctly, that whole thing just slides right out. So I'm going to take it out. What that does is this has to compress the safety. That's the part that kills it. So with it broken, the machine always thinks that there's no one actually holding it and will kill it. So I'm going to take off that spring and we'll get to work. As you can tell, it's a little dirty, but it's a lawnmower, so it makes sense. But you have two problems, or two options here. One, you can buy this part. Usually a dealer or a specialty shop will have to order it. Sometimes you can order it online. It's really hard sometimes with certain pieces. This one, I believe, if I remember correctly, because it's been like a year, it's really hard to find online, at least having it shipped. But when you go to like a dealer or something, they will just outright gouge you. I think that part was like $100-something, something ridiculous. So, but that could be mine. I don't know. Maybe mine's just a little shady. Or if you have any welding skills whatsoever, we're gonna weld it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a surface preparation disc. I'm going to prepare all this and then get it down to a clean bare metal and try to kind of leave it intact as much as possible, because that will allow me to, no, it's pretty much going to break anyway, especially with me rocking it back and forth. But anyway, I'm going to clean it up, and then we'll bring you back. If you don't know what a surface preparation wheel is, it's one of these. I call it a spaghetti wheel. So, cleaned up. We just need to make sure we don't put it on the wrong way, of course, and go from there. I'm going to put a magnet on this. I'll be right back. There we go. Now it's holding. Magnet's holding together. So I'm going to probably grind off some paint, put my ground on there, get to welding. Now, how am I going to weld it? That's a good question. If you watch what I believe is the best small engine welder you can have for a small engine shop or garage, I'm going to TIG weld it. The reason being is, in my opinion, is just a better idea. Need to remove this a little bit more, where the magnet's a little stronger on this piece. So I'm going to TIG weld this, and then how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to put a little spot weld on the back here, then I'm going to weld the other side, take the magnet off, and then come back and weld this side. Probably going to penetrate anyway, but I just want to put a little extra metal there because this is a common breaking point. I've probably done 5 or 6 of these at least, and I've only had to really do the pumps one time for this reason. Oh, excuse me, not the pumps, the wiring, like the switches or anything electrical, maybe one time. The other time, it's always been this. So this is a pretty common failure point. So I'm going to get that welded, and I'll show you the results. Okay, everything's nice and welded. Both sides add some given strength, and take a wire wheel to it, take some spray paint. I'm going to spray paint it so it doesn't rust, and slide it back in its little slot, and we'll give this a little try. Kind of want to go over on why I think this happens a lot. I think it just ends up happening with people in a too large of a hurry and hitting it too hard or holding on too hard or something. But also, this is bent a little bit. It's hard to tell on camera. If you see that slight bend in it, there's a locking screw in there. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to see if, let me take this whole thing off. I'm going to see if I can't bend it back, because I noticed when I put it on, this doesn't quite match with this side, and it's a little hard to use. I'm going to try to bend it. Maybe that's easier to kind of see the bend in it. Straight, bent, straight, bent. You bring this a little bit more that direction. Let's see about this one. Maybe a little bit on the inside too, just a tad. I would hope everyone knows this, but hot metal moves a lot easier than cold metal, or bends. So if you can get a hot, like practically red, that's ideal. This part's not going to be both fun or easy. Maybe it will be easy. Let's just put it both on there. There we go. We can kind of line it up like this. I'm going to paint the rest because the heating process definitely took its toll. Making sure they're both firmly flat on the table. I hope that this is a flat enough table. Yeah, they look pretty decent. Okay, I'm going to put it on and see if that made a big difference. Okay, here goes nothing. So, like I said before, put your hands right here, or at least one. You move this at all, it would die, no matter what you did. Usual function, let's say you want to go to like number 2. You have your hands here, pull back, let the levers go. That's it. Let your hands off, machine dies. We're going to leave this in neutral, leave that in neutral, hands off. We're going to release the brake, and we'll leave the brake. We're going to move that. It is on choke and on. Okay, well, that appears to be it. I did tighten, so the pumps are on, so it's really hard. You shouldn't do that very much, but in this case, we'll make an exception. But as you can tell, it now works. Feels pretty good. Doesn't have any problems. All I did is take off 2 screws, pushed it forward, took it right out, welded it right up. No multimeter, no testing, no wiring, no nonsense. Check that first, very first thing. Other than that, I think that's about it. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram with SmallEngine101, and I'll see you in the next video. You have a good evening.